Hello everyone. Let's review shlokas 82, 83 and 84 in Lalita Sahasranamam. kāmeśvara prāṇanāḍī kṛtaģynā kāmapūjitā śṛṅgāra rasasampūrṇā jayā jālandharasthitā oḍyāṇa pīṭhanilayā bindumaṇḍala vāsinī rahoyāga kramārādhyā rahastarpaṇa tarpitā sadyaḥ prasādinī viśva sākśhiṇī sākśhivarjitā śhaḍaṅgadevatā yuktā śhāḍguṇya paripūritā. Before we look at the meanings of each nama here, just as a recap, now we are looking at Devi as the vak, as the speech. And in the previous shloka, we saw how she is the 4 stages of the evolution of speech. And we finished it with her being the Bhakta Manasa Hamsika, where she raises as the discernment in our minds and gives us the ability to choose the right thoughts to have, right words to say, and right actions to do as we proceed in the Devi Sadhana. So we are continuing from there. Now let's look at the first 82 shloka. kāmeśvara prāṇanāḍī. kāmeśvara prāṇanāḍī means she is the life force of kāmeśvara. kāmeśvara is nothing but Shiva. And in the previous shloka, we saw that she is the Bhakta Manasa Hamsika. She is the swan of discernment in the mind of the devotee. So, as we continue to proceed in the Devi Sadhana, we will begin to realize that she is the life force of Shiva. That means she is the Shakti that makes the universe go around. Even in Saundarya Lahari, Adi Shankaracharya says that Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitam. That means only when Shiva is joined with Shakti, he is able to do anything. Otherwise, he is not even able to stir. So, like that Shiva and Shakti are nothing but the 2 complementary aspects of that one ultimate reality. So, as we proceed in Devi Sadhana, we become aware that she is that ultimate reality. She's just that complementary aspect of the ultimate reality. For us, maybe we'll see Shiva as a male and Shakti as a female, but in essence, they're all only one and the same and nothing but the ultimate reality. So we'll see that as we proceed in the Devi Sadhana, that she is the life force that drives this entire universe. And she is kṛtaģynā. kṛtaģynā means one who knows all the actions. That means she knows everything that we are doing, right? As the ultimate reality, she's looking at everything. kāmapūjitā. So there are a few ways to look at it. We'll look at the literal meaning. Kāma means Kāmadeva, who is nothing but Manmata. So kāmeśvara is the master of desires. Kāma is also desire. So Shiva has conquered all his desires, whereas Kāmadeva is Manmata, who is the god of love. And she was worshipped by Kāma, and he is one of the important Sri Vidya Upasakas. When we looked at Panchadasakshari mantra, we said there were about 12 to 15 very important Devi Upasakas, and Kāma is one of them. Manmata is a very popular devotee of Lalita, and we all know that he got revived, right? When he was burnt by Shiva, he got revived by Lalita. So kṛtaģynā kāmapūjitā. So one who knows all our actions and one who is worshipped by Manmata. On the other hand, if you look at it, Kāma also means desire. Means Devi or Lalita is the object of worship for all our desires. What does that mean? Because if you see, all human beings, we all have desires. And our desires drive all our actions, right? Everything that we do is driven by desires. And sometimes when we say desires, it's not just what we want. It's also what we do not want. So we are always outcome focused, right? I want to see something happen. I don't want to see something happen. And this is what drives us. Why is that happening? Because as human beings, we are all manifested forms of that ultimate reality. Right? That ultimate reality was limitless. right? It could do anything, it could be anywhere, it could take any shape, it could be in many places at once. But when it is manifesting, it gets constrained to a certain form, and then once it's constrained to a certain form, it's limited by the abilities of that particular form. So for every human being, there is an inherent sense of lack, which is called as ānava mala. So this is one of the three impurities that are there with the human beings. And driven by that sense of lack, we are always trying to become complete. And how are we trying to become complete? By pursuing something. Sometimes we think, oh, if we have all this property, then maybe we'll feel better. And then if we do all the great things, then we might be better. Or if we indulge ourselves in all these pleasures, we might feel better. So this is why our desires also constantly keep shifting, because we are always trying to become whole. And that whole doesn't come unless and until we recognize that we are one and the same as ultimate reality. At that time only it will feel like completely powerful. And she is so in trying to pursue all these outcomes, what we are really trying to pursue is the oneness with that ultimate reality. And that's why she is the object of all our desires. We may not recognize that's what we are going towards, but that's what will get us to a point where all our desires are satisfied. And that's why with human beings, if you see, we'll want something so badly. The moment we have it, of course, we'll feel happy, but after a few days, we'll start wanting something else, because we are trying to always heal that sense of lack, and that will be healed only when you master your desires. And the mastering of the desires, or getting to a state of I have no desires, comes when we have realized our oneness with that ultimate reality. So she is the person who's worshipped by Manmata, or she is the ultimate goal of all our desires. And it is also said that the Kama here references to the Kamagiri Pīṭha. So Kamagiri Pīṭha is the Mūladhara chakra in the microcosm. So in human body, that is where everything that we hold dear is staying. So she is also worshipped as she is also the Mūladhara chakra, the Kamagiri Pīṭha. She is worshipped there. śṛṅgāra rasasampūrṇā. Śṛṅgāram means love. śṛṅgāra rasasampūrṇā means she is full of the feeling of love. And if we explore this a little bit further, what is love? We all know love is unconditional. When we love something, we treat that as being an extension of us, or being a part of us, or us being a part of it, or us being an extension of it. So whether you want to think about love between two lovers, or love between a mother and a child, you can see all of this where the boundaries disappear. And if you see, for human beings, most of the time this Maya Mala, which is the separateness that we feel, me versus the world, that is the separateness that we feel, and that is the reason for all the identity to be formed, the ahankara to be formed, which becomes, then once we have an identity, then in order to sustain the identity, we either want certain outcomes or don't want certain outcomes, and then that gives rise to all the vices of the mind, like the kama, krodha, lobha, etc. So she is someone who is full of the feeling of love, or the oneness of the experience, no difference between me and the other. That is what she is full of. And it's also said that śṛṅgāra rasasampūrṇā also denotes the Purnagiri Pīṭha, which is nothing but the Anahata chakra. So Kama was the Kamagiri Pīṭha, which is the Mūladhara chakra, and śṛṅgāra rasasampūrṇā references Purnagiri Pīṭha, which is the Anahata chakra. And we've seen this before when we discussed Kundalini. Kundalini is a small fire that is lit at the Mūladhara chakra. And as the awareness increases, and as we move more and more towards understanding that we are one and the same as that ultimate reality, the first thing that happens is the Brahma Granthi gets severed. So the Brahma Granthi is everything that we hold dear. So anything that gives us artha for this life, right? Purpose for this life. Anything that is like the securities that we have. It could be the property or money, or it could be the relationships that we have. All this keeps us going. So the first thing is that we recognize that that's no longer the purpose, or that is not something that we take it so seriously or get so involved in. So this is where we cut off that attachment to a certain extent, or we have limited attachment. And then the next step that happens there is near Manipura. There is the Vishnu Granthi that gets severed. So Vishnu Granthi is everything that makes us think about our identity, me, I, mine, all of those, and then that gets severed. Only then the Kundalini can go, because the Brahma Granthi and Vishnu Granthi will block the path of the rise along the Sushumna Nadi. So when it goes to the Anahata Chakra, Anahata heart is where we set intent, where we set thought, where we set feelings. And now when it reaches the Anahata Chakra, now all our thoughts are cleansed, because now they are not selfish. They are not about what makes me want to move forward in life. They are not about what makes me feel good about myself. Now when it goes into it's overflowing with the love. So it's coming from a place of fullness. It's coming from a place of where the boundaries are melting away. It's beginning to feel the oneness of experience. So at that point, it is also something that is completely selfless. It's a pure intent, right? And then at that pure intent is the victory, right? When human beings are able to stop thinking just about themselves and also consider others, also have empathy and acceptance for others, that is where it is victorious. So she is jayā, there is victory there. And then it races further to jālandharasthitā. Jālandhara is the Vishuddhi chakra. So Vishuddhi chakra is at the throat. So now, because all the thoughts and intent is all cleansed, now it comes out, the expression of it is also very comforting and accepting of others. And so this is where the expression happens. So this is the victory of speech. It is a message of comfort. It is a message of oneness. It's a message of unifying oneness of experience, etc. And then from there, she further rises to oḍyāṇa pīṭhanilayā. Oḍyāṇa pīṭha, one who resides in the oḍyāṇa pīṭha. So the oḍyāṇa pīṭha is nothing but the Agnya chakra, which is between the brows. So she is residing there. So what happens once the thoughts and feelings are cleansed, they are devoid of selfish interest. Now this person has become pure, somebody who's vibrating with that pure energy. And that person of pure energy expresses themselves in that way that allows for other people to feel that oneness of unifying experience, or even express themselves in a divine manner. You will feel good being around someone like that. And then from there, for that person, when it raises up, then it goes to the Rudra Granthi is severed. So the Rudra Granthi is the place where we have all our conditioning, right? There is certain implicit way in which we will behave. Sometimes we may not even recognize it, but that's how implicitly we will behave. And these come from either our experiences throughout our life, or from our families, or how we have mingled with other people, the communities we live in. So these all go to influence how we will react to a certain situation, and sometimes we may not be cognizant of it. And that is the final clarity that we need, because all of this conditioning defines how we view the world. So each one of us have a certain worldview. So there is a certain perception that we have, and it is the lens through which we see the world. And the interesting part about it is, our worldview is very visible for other people, but we can't ever see it, because it's a lens we are carrying in our eyes. Our eyes can only see outward, they can't see inward. So that is the whole journey of Devi Sadhana, taking you inward, making you understand why you are looking at things in a certain way, and being able to change that. And if we are able to break free of that conditioning, if you are able to simply change the lens or throw away the lens, then you are a liberated being, because these perceptions, these conditionings limit how we act. That's what makes us who we are, because given a certain situation, so and so will always react like this, right? So that is something that they have. Being able to break free of that is called as liberation, being able to not have anything hold you. So that is the final clarity that's needed. So in the oḍyāṇa pīṭha, the Rudra Granthi will be severed. So in Devi Sadhana, when we understand that she is that ultimate reality and she is the object of all our desires, and when we raise further, then the Rudra Granthi is severed. So that means it creates that ability for us to throw away that lens. Bindumaṇḍala vāsinī. Bindumaṇḍala is the central point. Bindu is the center. And even in Sri Chakra, you must have heard the center point of the Sri Chakra is called as Bindu. Shakti is always either top or center. So Bindumaṇḍala vāsinī. In the microcosm, this Bindumaṇḍala refers to a place between the Ajna Chakra and Sahasrara at the crown. So it's somewhere between the brows and the head. And Bindu is a place where the subject-object differentiation completely collapses. So someone who's full of that unifying experience is able to begin to understand that everything is interconnected, everything is together. And then they're able to express that and behave in that manner. So expression is not just words, it's also behavior. And then in the Rudra Granthi, that clarity, complete clarity comes in, where anything that we have as a perception is also severed. And then in the Bindumaṇḍala, it is now completely dissolved. At that point, that person is a completely transformed person. So anyone for whom their Kundalini energy has raised all the way up to Sahasrara, that person is able to transform themselves. And what does that transformation mean? Transformation means that you're able to view the world as it is, not as we are. And that is a very important difference, because we always view the world as we are. So our inner state is extremely critical in how we are interpreting the world. And you might think of this, on a normal day, somebody is asking you to do something. You might react to it with, oh yeah, I'll do it now, or you will do it immediately, or you will say, I'll do it tomorrow. You might react like that. You're rushing to go somewhere and you're in a hurry, and somebody comes and asks you to do something now. It could be your child. Then how do you react? You're grumpy. You're angry at them. The action was the same. They asked you to do something. But depending on your inner state, you either react to it as normal or you react to it as grumpy. So this is what the normal person's life is, right? So we view the world as we are. What's happening around us is all tilted by our inner state. The person who is enlightened, their inner state is balanced. They don't have any perceptions. They don't have any selfish desires. They don't have any particular identity for which they are trying to preserve that identity. When all of these, and this is what we call as pasha, when all of these ties are severed, then that person is just is. It's the just being. And for that person, it becomes easy to accept whatever is happening, to view things as they are coming, and then they become aligned with the working of the universe, as opposed to constantly trying to work against it and influence the outcomes that we desire. So that is the transformation that is possible. Rahoyāga kramārādhyā. Rahoyāgam is a secret yaga that's done. So kramam means sequence, aradhya means worship. So she is worshipped by the secret yagam. So what is that secret yagam? The secret yagam is nothing but the Devi sadhana and trying to work through letting go of all of this desires and selfish interests and all the perceptions. That is the secret yaga. And why is a secret? Because generally if you do any other yaga, you will do, you'll invite a lot of people. There is external actions like pouring the ghee into the fire, etc. Whereas when we are pursuing Devi as sadhana, it is an internal worship. This any person who is completely transformed, are they suddenly going to look like a different person just because they have let go of the perceptions, etc.? And you can think of it, right? If you let go of your perceptions, you let go of your identity, then you're no longer you. You can be anybody, which can be considered as a rebirth. So now is this person going to look any different? But outwardly, they're not going to look different. They're going to look the same. But except that their thoughts are cleansed, they're approaching the world in a different way, and that is only visible to that person. They are possessing that knowledge, and this whole sequence of it, only they are privy to it, and that's why it's called as a rahoyāgam. Rahastarpaṇa tarpitā. Rahas again is secret. Tarpanam can be considered as a food. Tarpanam is offering, and tarpitā means satisfied. She is then satisfied by the secret offering. So what is that secret offering we gave up? It said that when the manifestation happens, first the body is created, and then all the nadis are all created, and after that she infuses it with the prana, and along the Sushumna nadi, she stuffs all the papa and punya that person has had forever, all the good deeds and bad deeds this person has done, how this person thinks of something as right and wrong, and all the perceptions and thoughts, everything is filled into that Sushumna nadi. And as the Kundalini rises through the Sushumna nadi, as each granthi gets severed, all of this is burnt up. So that papa and punya, the good deeds, bad deeds, everything becomes the fuel for the fire called Kundalini. So that fire does not need any other fuel to burn except that it uses its papa and punya. That's why a person is cleansed. When the Kundalini keeps rising, the person is cleansed. And she is satisfied by this secret offering, which is all the punya papa. And when the punya and papa both are gone, when both get to zero, and in our mythology, punya is a separate account, papa is a separate account. So there is no account balance that tallies punya and papa. It's not like credit and debit. We get to face the consequence of all the papa, we also get to face the consequence of all the punya. So even if somebody has zero papa, if they only have punya, they'll take another birth just to come and enjoy the consequences of all that punya, and that will become again a trap, because it is possible to acquire papa while trying to live a life of facing the consequences of the punya that we have done. And then that papa account, and then you have to clear that. So this is why it's a vicious cycle of birth. When the enlightenment happens, both papa and punya get to zero, which means that person will not have any birth anymore. And because they don't have any birth, they won't have any death as well. So when she is satisfied with that offering, what does she do? Sadyaḥ prasādinī. Sadya means instantly. Prasādinī means bestow. She bestows her grace. And what is that grace? That grace is the enlightenment that we are one and the same as the ultimate reality. And in that enlightenment, we are able to see that she is the viśva sākśhiṇī. She is the witness for the entire world. And she is the sākśhivarjitā, which means she is devoid of any witness. So she is that one ultimate reality who sees everything in the world, and only very few people see that she is the ultimate reality. So there is no witness for her, because the entire universe is her making. So in pralaya, she is the only one that will remain. So there is no witness. Everything else could go away, but there is no witness for her. But she is the one who creates this entire universe, and therefore she is the witness for the entire world as viśva sākśhiṇī. The last line of 84, we'll look at it in the next video. From here on, we will talk about Devi in the Bindu. So we'll look at it at that time. That's all for today. Thank you.